Super excited to have everybody here. We are live through the Facebook. Great to see you if you're just jumping on right now. Anthony Anderson here. And so this is what we wanted to do, is have a brief conversation to introduce Janel to the community here. Janel's with a firm called Tax Exact. She's going to be coming out in person, San Diego, in less than 2 months. Jen and I were just talking earlier today, like 7 weeks away. So at the Elite Growth Academy. We haven't been together for 1.5 years, almost 2 years because of COVID. So if you are on the fence about the Elite Growth Academy, come on out. Now's the time to get the ticket. Like, we still haven't hit capacity. I think we will probably run into some capacity issues, but we still got tickets. So come on out, and you're going to see some phenomenal speakers for our conversation today. So let me just kind of frame out how Tax Exact and Janel fits into the vision of what we're all trying to build here, and why we're all working together. So one of the main issues that advisors have when they are building relationships with accountants is what? I'm too busy. Yeah. The accountants are so busy. It's bandwidth. It's always the bandwidth concern. Even in the ones that have the high desire, that like want to get off the hamster wheel, they oftentimes just can't. It's like, got to pay for staff, got to pay for the lights. And so we are constantly looking in the marketplace in terms of what firms are leading in terms of thought leadership, as well as actual practical solutions that can help the accountants create some bandwidth to then be able to build the relationship with you, to be able to understand the virtual family office structure, to be able to have more proactive and holistic planning conversations with clients, like to be able to bring more value to clients. They have to be able to identify, how do I create more bandwidth within my practice? And so that's what we, right away, when we got introduced to Tax Exact, we actually saw Janel speak at a conference a couple months ago to accountants, and we were just like, they are ahead of the curve in terms of where the industry is going. So formed a relationship with them, had Janel speak actually to our mastermind group I think yesterday. And we had phenomenal feedback from a number of CPAs on the line. And so Jenna was like, why don't we jump on a live stream tomorrow? So,
yes.
So that's the background story. I loved it, right?
I need to talk to Janel. So it was
we were
very
teasing Janel because one of the mastermind members even included a little fire emoji in his feedback for her, which is officially a first. I've never seen a fire emoji when talking about a thought leader specialist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jenna, maybe kind of frame out a little bit more in terms of Janel's background, and then we'll dive into a conversation just here about what November is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been so great getting to know Janel. Really excited to introduce her to our whole community. She is the Chief Marketing Officer at Tax Exact, which has really revolutionized the 1040 process. Janel has a ton of experience in B2B sales and marketing, has worked in the financial services, technology, and software space for about 25 years, the past decade really focusing on public accounting firms. So super excited to have her speak at the upcoming Elite Growth Academy, and really excited for you to get to know her a little bit better today.
Thank you so much.
So we are together, like Janel, what do you have planned to speak to the community about in November?
Well, you guys, I literally could not be more excited for this opportunity, because just like you said, Anton, we've all felt so cooped up. So the opportunity to be live and meet people is like so energizing and exciting to me. And I'm also really passionate about this industry because I've worked with them for years. And for so many years, there's been this buzz out there about the transformation from compliance to advisory. But accountants are so darn busy that it's really hard. And it's really easy to kick that can down the road and go, maybe next year, let me get through tax season first. And so what we've become really passionate about, and the reason Tax Exact exists, is to help partners at that final review level increase their bandwidth and help them relieve the biggest bottleneck in the firm, which oftentimes is the review, the 1040 review. So our methodology is a little bit different, but what I'm going to be talking about in November is I'm really going to be focusing on, what does it look like? What is the public accounting landscape look like right now? What are they going through? I mean, what does that professional culture shift look like? What is the transformation? What does the typical workflow look like in a firm? Where are the bottlenecks? And how can we help resolve those bottlenecks? And how can we help offload some of that compliance work that people at that level, those partners, are still stuck in the weeds with, so that they can shift their focus and shift their attention on what they should be doing, which is having those higher value client conversations, because that's going to drive more value for the client, more profit for them. And then also really shifting their focus to what sort of a squad do I need around me of financial advisors, attorneys, whatever, to really offer that highest level of value for my clients. And I believe that if we can put partners in that position to where their focus is there versus on, versus ticking and tying and being in the weeds with this tax compliance, then I think we're going to be able to empower firms to scale their advisory services and to have these super awesome partnerships that are going to be, very advantageous for their clients.
Yeah, I mean, love it. Well said. Jenna, as she's
She's
saying that, I'm
singing.
like, can you see? Yeah, I know, right? Can you see why it's such a natural
I think
relationship?
it's called singing from the same song sheet, if you will. But I think
Yeah.
the only difference is we call it a virtual family office and you call it a squad, which I like the squad.
Yep. Yeah, just my own terminology, but it's the same
Yes.
thing, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you are discussing the partner level and freeing up bandwidth and what they can focus on, like, what are some of the opportunities that you've seen from accountants that you're working with
Mhm.
once you do help them build a better workflow, use technology to free up some time? Like, what does that
Sure.
actually look like?
Yeah, so it's a couple of things. So first of all, it's a little bit of a mindset shift because firms are used to doing things the way they've been doing them since the dawn of tax time. So once they agree that, look, we have to get from point A to point B, how are we going to do it? I'm going to embrace a little bit of change. Ooh, that horrible word change. And I'm going to adopt this mindset shift. I'm going to offload some things from my plate. Then, ideally at the end of the day, what we see happening is, and also know that one of the big problems in public accounting is that people are leaving in droves, right? They don't want to work in public accounting. And so if you think about the workforce today, you've got a lot of millennials, you've got a lot of Gen Zs. What do they want? They do not want to do menial or just like boring work. They want to do meaningful work. They don't want to do data entry. So if you can, in tandem with that mind shift, help them see that if they have a tool or have ways to take what they're doing from a compliance standpoint and shift that downstream and help accelerate the development of their newer accountants, give them meaningful work, feel like I'm getting to be a client-facing contributor a lot faster than what I would have in, the old school type firms, then what you end up with is you've got a firm that has much better retention rates because they've got, inexperienced or young or new, the old school preparers or new accountants that are learning so much faster and becoming client facing so much faster that the firm ends up making more money because you've broken the mold. You don't have that division between preparers and reviewers anymore. They've all become reviewers. And then what you're doing is you freed up the partner at their level to really just focus on the advisory services and building those relationships and working on that gold mine of business they have sitting in their firms that they haven't even been able to tap into yet because they've been so in the weeds with, their compliance work. So you see, better retention, you see, happier people, whether it's I want to build my advisory services or whether it's I just want to have a better balanced life. That's what you tend to see when they start working on their processes and adapting and fully embracing a little bit of a mindset shift, a very small mindset shift.
Yeah, love it. One thing I'd be curious to hear your definition of is when you say advisory services, freeing up the CPA partner to focus on advisory services. That might mean something slightly different to an advisor who hasn't been in this community very long. Can you describe what you mean by that and how it's not actually competition for the advisor, but
100% not competition at all. I'll give you a great example. So for example, I'll give you a couple examples, but the difference in advisory services is absolutely not in competition because the firms that we work with, typically they get the fact that they are experts in tax and they stay in their lane and they need a partner who has the expertise in investments. And I'll come back to that as an example in a minute. But when we talk advisory services for an accounting firm, what we mean is if somebody is taking a look at a tax return, if they're spending an hour ticking and tying and double checking inputs, that's an hour that could have been spent looking at the story inside that tax return going, wow, that person has a really large Schedule C. Maybe we need to talk about scheduling some time to walk them through a potential business restructure. Or, wow, maybe this person's books are a mess, or they're unorganized, or there might be some opportunity there for outsourced CFO services, or for meeting with them quarterly and getting a retainer to help them with cash flow stabilization. Those are the types of advisory services that are fantastic work inside an accounting firm. But then the other thing is, there's opportunity at the end of the day in that tax delivery meeting where someone might go, if I'm an accountant, I might say, I know that you've been day trading. I get that. But let me also give you some advice and let me connect you with a financial advisor, because while you're day trading, it also makes a lot of sense to diversify and really plan for your retirement as well. So there's a perfect synergy to be able to kind of marry up the two, because most accountants will tell you, I don't know what I'm doing in terms of recommending investment products, but I do know how to avoid tax events and how to minimize tax liabilities. And most financial advisors will say, yeah, it's a great marriage of sorts, because I don't necessarily know how to avoid tax events, and that's what I need the accountant for. So it's a perfect synergy.
Yeah. Love it. You said two things that were really interesting. The first was the story of the tax return. I don't know if you've ever heard that, Jenna, but I like that concept.
And it was interesting yesterday hearing some of our advisors say, I didn't even know all that was involved in what goes into, the 1040s and the tax returns, and having here, you explain that a bit more of that real story, that everything that goes behind it.
And then the more they understand of that story, the more they can appreciate, I think, where
Right.
the CPA is coming from, or why the accountant might be wired the way they are. And then the other thing you said that was interesting is most accountants will tell you they don't know enough about wealth management or insurance, as an example. And you're right, but advisors oftentimes won't even get to the point where they have that conversation with the accountant, where the accountant's actually being honest and vulnerable about their lack of understanding, because they've positioned the accountant in a way that kind of backs them into a corner, and then they're having to kind of make a defensive play. It's like,
right,
I have no relationship with you. I don't know who you are. I don't really understand what you're advising to my client. So either I say, no, I'm not comfortable, or I give it the approval, but then it potentially comes back to damage my reputation or my relationship with the client. So shifting that from the beginning and actually building that relationship proactively with the accountant, I think it's to the point where you were just describing, where you have a genuine and a vulnerable relationship. So both people can focus on their area of expertise and then create that synergy.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I would say that it comes down to kind of setting expectations, right? And being able to meet and build that relationship. And, you get a CPA in the room, and you get a financial advisor in the room, and saying, look, this is what I do. This is what I do well. Well, this is what I do. And this is what I do well. Here's what I can do for your clients. Well, here's what I can do for your clients. And then once you set those expectations and you clearly understand the lane that each other is in, then you can better tee that up for clients 100%.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And then the client is the one who wins at the end of the day. So that's
what it's all about. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about, right? And CPAs are problem solvers, and that's what they want. They really want to solve problems for the client. And when I say this story in a tax return, the beauty behind that story is, if I don't have to worry about whether the detail is right or the tax return is right, all I have to look at is, wow, what's really standing out to me that could potentially be an opportunity to do something really good for this client. Then that's going to bring value to the client, whether it's an advisory opportunity in the sense of what a CPA would view as that, or whether it's, man, you really need some life insurance, or you really need to talk to the financial advisor that I work very closely with. And the other value that can be provided there, in my opinion, is, that communication, right? Because if I'm a client and I've got a CPA recommending a financial advisor to me, or vice versa, I'm going to immediately go, oh, this is going to save me a lot of time. I don't have to worry about talking to one and then telling the same story to the other. If I know they communicate and they're a team that has my best interest in mind.
Yeah, totally. Well said. Well, good. Any other thoughts or anything else we should kind of anticipate from seeing you in San Diego?
We're gonna have a lot of fun. I think that I always have goals for the people that I'm speaking with, and I want them to walk away with actionable items, things that they can, take and put into their business that aren't monumental change. And I also like for things to be really interactive. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know everybody. I hope if you're on the fence about coming that you'll come, because I know that everybody's looking forward to meeting, besides who wouldn't want to go to San Diego. And I think we're just all going to have a lot of fun together and learn from each other.
So
Yeah.
well said.
Very, very, very well said. I love it. Yeah. So again, I think to summarize, the goal is we're all at this place now. Enough has changed in the last few years where people are finally kind of just agreeing. They're not arguing anymore that when professionals come together to build relationships, clients are better served. Like 5-6 years ago, we maybe had to make that argument. People get it now. The CPAs get it. The advisors get it. The attorneys get it. But once we get into okay, theoretically, we're on the same page, then you get into the practical issues. And biggest practical issue that we hear come up from CPAs again and again, if you missed the first minute, is the bandwidth, the time issue. And so we're constantly looking for thought leaders and tools and techniques to help relieve some of the bandwidth issues. And a major way to do that is to use technology. I love what you guys are doing at Tax Exact. And I think the more we can help the advisors understand the shoes the accountants are working on and then give them solutions to address their concerns, the better they can form these partnerships. So
I couldn't agree more. I'm thrilled to be able to come out there and speak, and I really, really look forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. If you haven't got your tickets, telling you, you're going to love the event. 16 CPE credits for your CPAs. And for those of you, even if you don't have a partnership yet, just coming out to understand the direction the industry is going, how massive this opportunity is, some of the technical specialists that you can take back and work with your own prospects and clients, thought leaders like Janel, understanding what they're doing and how that can be of value to your CPA partners. It's honestly, I would not miss it. So elitegrowthacademy.com, I believe, Jenna.
That's it.
November 4th and 5th. We'll all be in San Diego. So we would encourage you to get your tickets, book those flights, come on out to see us. If you can't travel or you are still too concerned with some of the variant, you can attend live. Virtual. We are going to live stream it. So you can still sign up at elitegrowthacademy.com. Same sign up process, and you'll have a chance when you're checking out to choose virtual or in person. So I think that's it from me. Unless Jenna or Janelle, you had anything else you wanted to cover while we're live, I think we could wrap it up.
I think that's it. Janelle,
Good.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Love
Likewise.
having people who are all on the same page with us. And that's certainly where we are. So thanks again. And
Thank
really
you
looking
both.
forward to meeting you in person in November.
Same. I can't wait. Thank you so
Likewise.
much.
All right. Thanks,
See you,
everyone.
Janelle. Thanks, everyone.
Janelle.
See you soon.
Bye.
Take care.